The college basketball season is winding down, but the games are getting more and more intense by the day, and that means more high-stakes chances to win some money. Welcome to Beat the Bookie. I'm your host, Patrick Gunn, here to help you earn more dollars for your picks. Now, Beat the Bookie hosts did a great job last semester, but for 2021, Tom Russo got off to a moderate start. He went 5-5, but barely lost some money. And he favored several road teams, which is always a risky move, even with empty stadiums this year. Some picks worked out. Villanova and Illinois did him well, but his home picks, including South Carolina to upset Missouri, not so good, although who could have expected Kentucky to blow out Tennessee this year? But that's in the past, and now we're looking forward to this weekend, starting with the big games. And fittingly, we're looking at all Big 12 teams, starting with Texas at Texas Tech. This conference has been overly dramatic, to say the least, this season, with Texas collapsing against West Virginia and coming back against Kansas just this week. Meanwhile, the Red Raiders have lost 2 road games in a row to aforementioned Kansas and Oklahoma State. Texas does play well on the road, and Tech has lost some big opportunities at home this season, so this one looks like another photo finish, but my gut says go with the home team. The Red Raiders are great at generating turnovers, and Texas has more giveaways and assists on the season. I think the Red Raiders will force enough takeaways to get the job done. I'm not too confident on this one, so I'll just put $10 on the Red Raiders. And we've got another heavyweight battle coming with Baylor traveling to Kansas. And what can you say about the Bears? They have a great backcourt led by Jared Butler, have outscored their opponents by more than 20 points a game, and oh yeah, they haven't lost yet. Now, yet is a key word here. It's hard to be perfect on the season, especially in a great conference, and Baylor nearly dropped a game to 2-17 Iowa State. And granted, Baylor came off an over 2-week pause and played with some rust, but that pause means the Bears are going to have to play 4 games in 8 days, starting against some great opponents, including Kansas. And most people, myself included, thought that the Jayhawks might fall down to a lower tier seed after a rough middle of the season, but Kansas found a way, as they usually do under Bill Self. They've rebounded to win 5 of its last 6 games, with its only loss coming in overtime against Texas. And this smells like another close game to me, but I'm going with the blue blood at home. Let's put $15 on Kansas plus 5 to get the upset. And let's end the big games with going north to Bedlam in that matchup between Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. These teams couldn't be coming off more different results. The Cowboys knocked off Texas Tech in overtime, while the Sooners lost to Kansas State. Kansas State lost to a Division II team earlier this year, and now they just beat a team that's likely tournament bound. And Oklahoma before that let a weak Iowa State team push them in the second half. And look, both of these teams have quad 3 losses, so no hard shame on Oklahoma, and both teams are deep with scoring. But the thing is that Oklahoma's losses both came on the road. The Sooners are 10-1 at home this season with impressive wins over Kansas, Texas, and Alabama. And I know that the Sooners are probably going to be down on them after that K-State loss. I think they'll win, but not by the 5-point spread. So I'm going to actually go with the over in this one. 138.5 feels small for a Big Ten game, especially with this kind of rivalry with scorers like Kate Cunningham in the picture. So I'm definitely going the over on this one with $10. And now let's talk about some games that I'm really like for my picks. First, let's start in Madison, Wisconsin for Illinois versus Wisconsin. Both of these teams are coming off wins against weaker opponents, but Illinois is coming off an impressive win, mainly because star guard Ayo Dosunmu didn't play, and Illinois still won by 16. Wisconsin did just beat Northwestern, but that's coming off home losses to Iowa and Michigan. So I'm riding with a road team here, $15 on Illinois to keep up the good times rolling. Now, next, I'm going to a massive Mountain West game between Boise State at number 22 San Diego State. These are 2 underrated and closely matched teams. Boise State is 13-8-1 against the spread, while San Diego State is 13-8 against the spread. The 2 teams went to overtime Thursday night, with the Aztecs posting 15 points in OT for the win. Both teams have strong defenses and score a lot off turnovers, which is why I'm putting $10 on the under in this game. The last matchup would have hit the under if it ended in regulation, and then it went to overtime. I don't see the 2 teams playing in overtime twice in a row, even with how competitive and close they are. So the under on Boise State versus San Diego State. Finally, we're going to go over the Atlantic 10. This is an underrated matchup between Virginia Commonwealth and Davidson. Both of these teams are playing well this year, but VCU is the only team on the NCAA tournament bubble, and I think it's a good road matchup for it. The Rams are 5-2 on the road this season and 12-10 against the spread. And the Wildcats rebound well, but they're 8-9 against the spread without creating many turnovers. And also, while Davidson does shoot 36% from 3, VCU has the second best 3-point defense in the A10, allowing teams to shoot under 30% from deep. Couple that with the Rams' strong turnover margin, I think that's enough that the Rams haven't pulled the upset, so $10 on VCU. And now let's go for my lock of the week, and we're going to the Big East. It's going to be UConn, $15 to beat Marquette. And yes, The Golden Eagles just knocked off North Carolina on the road, but UNC has been inconsistent all year, and the Tar Heels lack a lockdown shooter. Now, Huskies, they have that in James Bouknight. He's averaged 19.7 points per game in his 3 games since returning from injury, and also Connecticut is 12-4 against the spread this season, and while Marquette is 19-4. The Golden Eagles get grounded today, and the Raging Dan Hurleys pick up a much-needed win resoundingly for their bubble chances. And for my dog of the week, I'm going to the SEC with a matchup in Mississippi State over Alabama. The Crimson Tide has played a great season, but it's just 13-10-1 against the spread, which tells me that Nadeau's squad is overachieving a little bit, and Alabama has hit a roadblock recently. The Crimson Tide lost a close game to a decent Missouri team, barely beat Vanderbilt in South Carolina, and got crushed by Arkansas. Mississippi State has a near identical 13-11 record against the spread, and has been playing some really solid basketball of late. And so for $10, I think that Mississippi State can pull off the upset. And now for a game you probably never heard of, we're going to some SWACtion in Grambling State against the University of Arkansas's Pine Bluff. Now, normally you shouldn't pick teams that are 3-19 and 2-11 in conference, especially if they've lost 11 straight. So why am I putting $5 on UAPB? Simply put, the Golden Lions know how to cover. They're 11-10 against the spread this season, signaling that they've lost a bunch of close games and are better than their record. And one of those close losses came at Grambling State, with only losing by 3 points. The Tigers are under 500, both against the spread and on the road this season, and I can't guarantee a UAPB win. I think there's a good chance they cover, especially when the +9 spread. And now, let's go to the parlay, putting $5 on 5 matchups I also like. First, Kentucky over Florida. This is a close matchup, but I think Kentucky's playing a little bit better than Florida, and I think that they can take the win. I'm also taking the over against when Florida State against North Carolina. This is a bit of a risk with a really, really high over-under, but these two teams know how to score, and I think they'll both get at least over 75 points, which should be enough to get that done. And over in the Pac-12, I'm taking Cal to cover against Oregon. I don't know if they're going to win, but that spread is really high for me. Next, sorry, Will Scott, I'm going to take Arkansas to handle LSU at home. And on the day with another blue blood getting the job done, Duke against Louisville covering. So to recap, I have Texas Tech over Texas, Oklahoma barely beating Oklahoma State, Kansas upsetting Baylor for my big games. Then we got Illinois taking care of business covering against Wisconsin. The under in Boise State versus San Diego State. We got VCU getting a big upset over Davidson. UConn is my lock of the week, -7 against Marquette. Mississippi State is my dog of the week, +5 against Alabama. UAPB is my game you've never heard of with that big line. And then I got a parlay going with Kentucky over FSU UNC, Cal covering, Arkansas is covering, and Duke covering. And that's it for this week's edition for Beat the Bookie. For everyone here at CitrusTV, I'm Patrick Gunn. Please bet responsibly, wear a mask, act responsibly, and enjoy the weekend of hoops.